So this is the first of what I hope to be an annual best tools video. Things I rely on daily, things that I would buy again immediately. But this is my first one, so I'm looking back at the past like 5-ish years, and I came up with 5 categories. So under 30, under 100, expensive stuff, honorable mentions, and then just for fun, the worst of the worst. So none of this is sponsored, but I do have Amazon affiliate links if you want to support this channel at no additional cost to you. This is my holiday buyer / best tools of the year. So let's start with tape measures because you can never have enough. This is the Camelon 12-foot self-lock evolution tape. It's $7. It's the one I take everywhere for 2 main reasons. It's like as portable as you can get without being too flimsy or too short. And it has 1/8 markings. So unlike most normal ones that just have the 1-inch markings, and that may not seem very significant, but not having to double check these hash marks as you're trying to like remember a bunch of numbers in your head speeds things up dramatically. I absolutely love these. I bought 2. You can get these at Lowe's. So that's the tape I pretty much use the most, but if I could only have one, it would have to be the 25-foot Crescent Lufkin Night Eye Shock Force G2, because you have to have a full-size tape. Everything about this is really solid. The hook is super grippy. The blade is good for about 10 feet before snapping. Not as much as the DeWalt Fat Max, but this is more compact and, in my opinion, much better built. The best part is the reverse coloring, which looks cool, but also is really easy to see in low light. And it's printed on both sides. This one is $26. You can get it at Lowe's or Amazon. So I gave up on pocket knives because they just can't handle the abuse. Utility blades are definitely the way to go. And there's a lot of ultra compact ones, but the Gerber EAB is my favorite. Because it takes up no space, it is almost always with me. So I'm not crazy about the toolless ones like this Coast, because in your pocket you can hit the button and it'll poke you or just fall out, which is terrible. A good alternative to this one is the DeWalt Atomic. This one protects the locking mechanism and it locks closed. But this is still my favorite. $13, you can get it at, I think, everywhere. Home Depot, Amazon, and Lowe's. So screwdrivers are a really big one. I got a bunch of screwdrivers this year. The bit holding solution is more important than the actual screwdriver. So if you have no tools, then yeah, one of these big multi-cases with everything included makes a lot of sense. Just know that these thin plastic cases will not survive in a tool bag. Anyways, Klein, in my opinion, is making the best screwdrivers right now. This is the 27-in-1 Tech screwdriver. In my opinion, this has perfect ergonomics. This one has every mini bit you could reasonably expect to have on the go in the handle. And this is the one you want because nothing's going to replace the drill. You're going to bring a drill and some impact bits pretty much wherever you go. And you're probably also going to have a big flat head for jabbing and stabbing. So this takes care of everything else in the least amount of space. Perfect for electronics, appliances, ridiculous hardware they use on recessed lighting. If you do go electronic, get one that's a little bit bigger and something with a torque rating. I'm still searching for a good low-profile ratchet, but this one is a little too loose and the side knob is too easy to accidentally press. I also have to mention these Milwaukee. You could just get these at Home Depot. But these have survived an unbelievable amount of abuse. Really well made. This is the Gador Silent Gear, and this is really interesting because if you like ratcheting ones, this ratchets, but it's completely silent. When you're turning it, there's no force in the opposite direction. It does kind of have like a magic feeling to it. But this is brand new to me, and I'm not 100% sure how well it's going to hold up. All right, next up is the Ulanzi MT799. I have like 27 tripods, and this is the one I use 90% of the time. It is ideal for laser levels, phones, small lights, GoPros, and other compact cameras. 14 inches when closed, 81 inches when extended. The smaller versions of this are too flimsy. This is the one to get. The 1/4-20 lock nut is integrated. This should be like $20 on Amazon, and I would buy this again immediately. Icon flush cut pliers. These are just in a completely different world from your normal standard flush cuts. The older version did have pointed tips, which were a little bit fragile, and the new one has rounded tips. All flush cutters die a slow and painful death. The old pair now is almost exclusively for metal and things I'm not supposed to cut, and the new one I'm going to keep as clean as I can for as long as possible. These are fantastic and a Harbor Freight exclusive. This is just my favorite portable work light. Nothing too special about it. It's got an 18650 battery and a big LED. It is compact and magnetic, but no tripod mount, which is kind of a bummer. Not really good for video or photography. Really fantastic for like under the car, under the sink. And this is just something that I use constantly. This is my favorite tool for difficult print removal, support removal, just clearing of build plates in general without getting your finger oils all over it. It's just a 30-degree mini chisel, but it's solid 304 stainless with a Damascus pattern, and it's just so nice. But be careful, this is ridiculously sharp. A little bit difficult to buy. I got this through AliExpress, and I don't know about the other third-party resellers. There's something about this. I really, really love this thing. Should be about $20. If you hang a lot of things or you do a lot of home renovation and you've never tried a laser level, you have to try a laser level. These basically project a horizontal and vertical beam perfectly level. So the thing is, I have a really expensive Bosch version and some really cheap ones, and there is no functional difference. They come in red and green, but the green is like 4 times easier to see. There are versions that do a full 360 laser beam around your room. I prefer the more compact and significantly cheaper, just a cross line, because you're only working on one wall at a time. If you pair these with the Ulanzi tripod, this is perfect. I've hung hundreds of, probably thousands of graphics with these. Last tool I have in the under 30 category is the Bako Side Nut wrench. I didn't think I was going to like this as much as I do, but now I really prefer the side nut as opposed to this. It has measurements on the side, which is kind of nice. I mean, if you need to find a socket, you could use this. The reason I like this is because there's almost zero backlash on the jaws compared to something like this. Could just be age, but I do find this to be a lot more intuitive to tighten and loosen just like a screw. There's nothing remarkable about this. I just use it constantly. In the under 100 category, we are starting off with the Quinn 3725Z. This is the gift for the JDM car bike guy. They've been getting a lot more popular recently, and they just make really high quality tools straight from Japan. And this one has extremely low backlash, 72 teeth gear. There's something so nice about using Japanese tools on a Japanese car. It's ridiculous, I know. This is a guaranteed 10 of 10 for your initial D-Bros. The Quinn 6-inch caliper. Quinn Absolute. This is way better and more reliable than the really ultra cheap ones. So the Mitutoyos are really, really nice. They're my favorite. So are the Starrets. There's a bunch of other ones, but in my opinion, these are too expensive. They don't really offer anything for a person who works in 3D printing. And there's a lot of really good calipers out there. This is just the one that I have. It's been really solid. I've been using it pretty much daily for the past like 2 years. So the Leatherman Wave. This tool, specifically this one, has saved my life on 3 occasions. I've cut through doors with this thing. I've fixed cars on the side of the road with this. And because of that, I will always have one in the bag or in the trunk. There are a lot of multi-tools out there, but I think this is the one to get, and it's a timeless classic. It's just the best. They have an insane warranty. I could get this one replaced, but I'm kind of nostalgic about it. And you can get them engraved, which I think makes a really, really nice gift. So the Ryobi rotary tool is, in my opinion, the best rotary tool that I have ever used for 2 main reasons. It has a brushless motor, which basically there's a small computer in here that fixes the RPM exactly where you want it. I've spent a lot more on Dremels that you're using it and the RPM range jumps all over the place and you constantly have to adjust it. That's never an issue with this. The other benefit is that it has really good power at low RPM. Enough to run a 2-inch sanding pad over a 3D print at 1K RPM. It's hard to walk around with this thing, and I would actually prefer the form factor of the Milwaukee rotary tool in general. I think that's superior to the foot pedal and this one, which has to be mounted, or usually it just sits in my lap. But the performance, especially if you're working with a lot of like soft plastics and thermoplastics, I think this is the best rotary tool that I've ever used. And I paid way too much for mine. This is $99 right now, and I believe this is a Home Depot exclusive. The DeWalt Stealth Sonic. It's a shop vac, but half the noise. The only downside is that the exhaust is baffled, so you can't use it as a blower. HEPA bags are available for this. This is the 12-gallon. Let's do a sound test. So it's kind of hard to justify buying your first real toolbox, but my God, does it make a massive difference. This is a huge upgrade for any hobbyist or literally anybody who does anything with gear. Just not having to dig through bags to access things quickly. And you can load these up with a ridiculous amount of tools. They can handle a lot of weight. This is the US General Series 2, which is now discontinued, but I think this size with a lot of small drawers is the way to go. Any really nice toolbox is an insane gift. the DJI Osmo Pocket 3. I know this is more tech than tool, and it's been reviewed to death on all platforms, but this camera is just the best. Video quality is phenomenal, especially in low light. I didn't think it was possible to get such clean footage out of a 1-inch sensor, and I'm big on the cameras for like my entire life. I got an XH2 at work, an XT3 right here, RX107, tons of Fuji primes, and I'm almost exclusively using this unless I'm doing some kind of multicam thing or I want to break out the macro lens. Specifically for content on social platforms, this is, I think, the best. If you can only have a compact camera for both photo and video, go with Sony. If you can have a separate photo camera, get this. Bamboo X1C with the AMS. Okay, so this is something that I will do a separate video on because I just passed 1,100 hours of printing, and it's probably the greatest thing that's ever happened to me. Chad Hoku of Hoku Props, the GOAT, the king, convinced me to buy this, and here's the thing. The printer is incredible, the software is the best I've used, and I haven't replaced anything. I haven't flashed firmware, I don't need multiple text files with EEPROM values and G-code. It just works, and the prints are beautiful. I am mildly concerned about user serviceability, but if you have the capacity to profit off of your prints, this will pay for itself fast. Especially, I mean, in the time that I've saved in just sanding alone on the first couple projects, it's insane. Now, Creality is launching the K2 soon, and there's the Prussia Core 1. It might be worth waiting for those reviews, but all I can say is the X1C is a phenomenal printer, and I'm probably going to buy a second one. Now for honorable mentions. This is the Leica Disto D2. I've had this for 6 years, and I'm constantly making 3D models of interior spaces for exhibition design. And I use those models to make technical drawings, so I need things to be extremely accurate. And this laser has been literally with me around the world. It just makes sense for me to have like a really nice, fancy one. The problem is, there are so many lasers on the market right now, it's really hard to just recommend this one. But I've used a few, and these are the main points. So you want something that will give you at least 3 measurements at a time, so that you can either measure 3 things at a time or just average out your measurements. This one has a back clip which hooks against walls, and this is a feature I really like. A lot of new ones have a bubble level or a gyro chip that basically makes sure you're measuring completely horizontal and not like you're off, so you'll get longer measurements. The Bluetooth functions are terrible, the apps suck. Some guys use these just for material estimates, so like how much conduit do I need in a ceiling? In that case, I would just get this one from Klein, but generally speaking, I can't live without a laser measure, and this combined with this, you're good to go. The TS101 soldering iron. When these came out, they were so freaking cool. It was unbelievable. You get an OLED screen for temperature adjustments. They have a cable that hooks up to a standard battery, and they're an ultra compact design. Nowadays, almost every single soldering iron has this digital display, and there are much better battery integrations, and it's the same thing. There's just too many on the market. I ended up buying 2. One is supposed to be for welding PLA, and the other one for actual soldering, but I just kind of use them both. The last honorable mentions, I believe, are for 2 discontinued Harbor Freight products. So this is a non-contact digital thermometer, and this was going to be my like #1 stocking stuffer thing, but I cannot find this anymore. And these were like, I think under $10, and now you can't find them for under $50, but this would keep a grown man occupied for hours for them to check your AC fence. The other one is the Voyager Canvas Rigger Bags, which are so good, and they were dirt cheap. These were also under $10, but now you cannot find them, which is such a shame. This is the worst tool that I have ever purchased. This is the Johnson plastic caliper. This is the accuracy of a plastic ruler in the form factor of a caliper. It is beyond awful. It's not accurate. It skips gears. The front pops off for like no reason. It does not have a locking mechanism, so if you can't see your measurement, you have to kind of pinch it and hold. And it's hidden in this milky plastic cover, so you can't really tell that it's plastic when you're looking at it in the packaging. And this is really sad because, you know, Johnson makes good tools. Like, this is my favorite Speed Square, and it's phenomenal. You know, it's kind of rare to find genuinely bad tools. Like, you get cheap bits and you get things that break, but like, this is just shockingly bad with, dare I say, malicious packaging. And for the price, please go to Harbor Freight and get the cheapest one you can find. iPad Pro M4. When they announced this thing, they made Final Cut look like such an elevated editing experience. I mean, the dials for precision scrubbing, really cool integrations with the pen for like animated text and graphics. And then the YouTubers would beat around the bush talking about how it's great for first round edits, it's so nice, it's so portable. do not buy this for editing. If you have ever used a shortcut in your life, like working with any kind of speed at all. My experience with Final Cut is that it was okay, but it was just seriously overheating the iPad. Something about the RAM usage I think is way too much. Premiere Rush is an absolute joke, just lacking in the most basic features. And CapCut is just better on the phone. DaVinci on the iPad, which is my main editing software now, is actually pretty good, but the touch interface in general is just painfully slow. And if you're going to use a keyboard and mouse, just get a MacBook. It's almost impossible to make ultra fast cuts for something like a TikTok that's timed with music. And scrubbing on a long form video is really, really difficult. It kind of forces you to make just very generic content with normal cuts. File management is also a nightmare. It's kind of like getting a Steam Deck for a diehard PC gamer, and then you find out it's only good for PS2 emulation and cozy games, and it just sits in your nightstand for the past 3 months with a dead battery. Anyways, this is still incredible for 2D artists. The pencil is great. It has an unbelievable amount of power. I enjoy editing photos on this, and I do want to use this for 3D sculpting down the line. But yeah, don't buy this for video editing. So if you watched this far, thank you. I hope that one of these tools serves you well. And if you have any questions about any of these, please comment and I will get back to you. I have a huge list of videos that I want to get out. DIY water wash spray booth, a deep dive on my spray booth and all the ones I've made in the past. I'm working on a bunch of projects from the new season of Arcane. We got Caitlin's rifle, Victor's staff, and I'm almost done modeling the Arcane Vandal, which I want to do entirely multicolor on the AMS as kind of like an ultimate test of the bamboo. So if you like this kind of stuff, like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.